she's made to asbestos?
Well, I applaud the action, firstly. I applaud any action which actually raises awareness of the dangers of fracking in this country. Actually, last Wednesday, I was in Downing Street myself, delivering a report by GNHRE, which is the Global Network for the Study of Human Rights and the Environment, which calls for a moratorium on fracking on human rights grounds. And I was there with a letter of support for that report, which had been signed by no fewer than 205 community groups dotted up and down the country. One of those groups, Frack Free Sussex alone, has over 10,000 followers. So that gives you an indication of the growing number of people in this country who are opposed to this industry.
I can understand the environmental concerns, but the health concerns, if fracking actually happens underground, how on earth could it actually be a health risk to us?
Well, if you look at every single body or report in this country, including the House of Lords Select Committee report, it states that fracking is safe to go ahead as long as there is a robust regulatory regime in place. And campaigners would say very clearly that that isn't the case. The Environment Agency is understaffed and facing job cuts of 1,500 or more full-time posts. It would not be possible for this industry to be safely regulated, and at the moment... Well, you don't know yet, do you?
Because fracking hasn't actually started in your area, and indeed it has been a practice that's gone on for 50 years, so you think they would actually understand the dangers and the methods to safeguard against any risks?
Okay, let me clarify one thing. In this country, there is only one place that has suffered or experienced, suffered maybe is a better adjective, verb, and that is Lancashire, that has suffered slick water, high volume hydraulic fracturing. That is the kind of hydraulic fracturing characterised by this industry. Now, the government has repeatedly said, ministers have come out with disingenuous statements that 200 wells have been safely fracked in this country. But we have evidence from the Department of Energy and Climate Change which states that those 200 wells were non-shale fracks and in no way comparable to slick water, high-volume hydraulic fracturing. That has only taken place in one area in Lancashire in 2011, where that fracturing, hydraulic fracturing by quadrilla, led to 2 seismic events, which in turn damaged part of that well and led to a suspension of HVHF until very recently. Now, campaigners are absolutely convinced that we must keep at bay this industry.
All right, give me an idea of who makes up these campaigners. I mean, just how representative are you of the UK as such? Because obviously the government's putting forward a very credible argument and saying the future is fracking. Who's actually campaigning along with the likes of you?
Okay, every group in this country is made up, I would say, they are a democratic representation, a microcosm of society in general. They contain, and I can attest to this because I actually liaise with national groups as well as belonging to East Kent Against Fracking and Mothers Against Fracking. They comprise factory workers and housewives, but lawyers, scientists, engineers and also politicians. On East Kent Against Fracking's committee last year we had a councillor who was a Green, which you might expect, but we also had a Conservative councillor. Now, a lot of these people are highly intelligent, and during that 3-year suspension of HVHF in this country, that has allowed many people to actually research the dangers of fracking and also lift the veneer of the government's case for shale and to find it wanting. But you don't have to listen to me, because on the 12th of November, the UK Energy Research Centre brought out a report, and that is an academic consortium covering 30 institutions. And its research director, Professor Jim Watson, actually said, quote, "Shale gas has been completely oversold. Where ministers got this rhetoric from, I have absolutely no idea. It is very misleading for the public." So the public are really absolutely convinced and committed to making sure that the true facts of this industry, the dangers of this industry, not only to our health, to the health and the security of our families, but also to our human rights, are absolutely maintained.
Julie, thank you very much indeed. Live from East Kent. Julie, thanks for joining us here on RT UK. Well, as David Cameron promises tougher restrictions to curb the flow of EU migration into the country,